Welcome back to Briggs on Books, the international talk show. We've had a guest today from Germany, several from the United Kingdom, and of course, quite a few from the United States of America, where I am. And we just appreciate that authors from all over the world are taking interest and talking to us about their books and their process. Most of our viewers are authors, are trying to be authors, or trying to get over the finish line with their first book, and they get a lot of inspiration from the authors that come on the show. And also, my goal is to help you, the viewers, pick your next book to read. And it's a big thing. Since I read so much, so many hours every day, I'm always looking for my next book. And our next guest is fascinating, all the way, I think, from Texas. We'll ask her. Margaret Izard. Welcome, Margaret.
Hi, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
By the way, here's the cover of Margaret's book, A Stone of Love by Margaret Izard. And what would you tell us about the book? What's the genre?
The genre is paranormal romance.
Oh, paranormal romance. I like that.
Yes, paranormal. Yes, there's time travel. It takes place in Scotland. There's fae and fairies, lots of nice fables. It's actually about an American scholar who comes to Scotland to renovate a Scottish chapel in ruin. And the Scottish lord that she's doing this for actually has a hereditary duty where he has to go back in time, assume his identical ancestor's identity in order to recover a lost fae magic stone from Iona Isle.
Now, do you have to do a lot of research to write a book like this about Scotland, for example?
Yes, I did lots of reading, lots and lots of reading. I had to, when I first started the series, this is actually a 7-book series with 3 Christmas companion books. When I started researching the series, I wanted to find a location that grounded the series. And so I picked Dunstaffnage Castle, which is located outside of Oban, Scotland. And that actually, Oban is actually the gateway to the Western Isles of Scotland. So it left a lot of travel and a lot of intrigue open for the entire series. And Dunstaffnage Castle itself has a lot of really interesting history.
So people will recognize places, or they could go find those places if they wanted?
They can go find all the places that are in my books. They can go find, with the exception of the Fae realm.
Okay, yeah. I am studying Scotland right now because it turns out I'm Scottish and I haven't been there. So I'm going to read this book just to give me a feel for, places and names and stuff like that.
Yeah, we actually, my husband and I traveled there last June.
Oh, fun. How fun.
Yes. And we spent 2 days in Oban, Scotland. It was really wonderful. It's beautiful there. We sailed to Iona Isle, which is featured in the book and featured throughout the series because that's where the magic face stones come from. They originate from the Isle of Iona. And it's just an incredibly magical place. Yeah. And it's been so much fun to write about.
Now, I noticed when I was researching you on Amazon right before, the Stone of Love, there's another book already listed there. Tell us about that.
Yes, Stone of Fear is actually the 2nd book in the series. It features 2 secondary characters that are friends to Colin and Bree. Colin and Bree are our main characters in the 1st book. John and Marie are our main characters in the 2nd book. And Marie came in order to help Brielle renovate the chapel. While Colin and Bree traveled back in time to recover a fae stone, it left John and Marie alone. And so as we travel forward with finding the stones, John and Marie's story in book 2 is actually told in flashback. Marie actually gets kidnapped by a priest who travels through time to have her search historic crosses to find a magic fae stone. John, her love interest, has to follow her through time. And as he chases her through time, their love story is told in flashback.
Nice. Now, you say there's going to be how many books in the series?
There's 7 books in the series and 3 Christmas companion books. So book 3 will come out sometime early in 2025. The Christmas companion book, which is Thistle in the Mistletoe, is coming out this holiday season. Hopefully sometime in December. I haven't gotten the publishing date yet, but it's already edited and ready to go. Wow,
you're that far ahead. That's amazing.
Actually, I'm drafting book 6 right now.
That's amazing. Now,
thank you.
Who's going to read these books?
Oh, my goodness. I have lots of fans. My fans span across the globe. Yeah. I actually have one that's in Austria that sends me emails all the time. She loves my books. But men, women, teenagers, anyone who enjoys a really great paranormal romance story.
Yeah. I was going to say, when I asked that, I kind of knew the answer, because there's a lot of people that are into this paranormal romance. genre.
Right. And the first book actually it actually falls somewhere between Outlander and The Witcher. So, when you put the Scottish and the time travel and the romance and the high heat that I write in, you get a little bit of Outlander. But then when you mix in that magic of the fairies and the fae and the folklore and the magical realism that's told throughout the entire story, it kind of taps a little bit into The Witcher. So that's where I kind of crossed my series between the two.
Now, did you create a realm for part of the story?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes, there is a fae realm.
Yeah.
Actually, throughout the series, there's multiple fae realms that we find.
See, that's the most amazing thing I find about authors who can create something that isn't even existent on Earth. Well, maybe it is existent. I just don't know about it.
Right. Actually, on my website, if you go, I have a hidden section on my website. On each page, there's a little fairy, and they're kind of floating around, and they're different colored fairies, and they're the same. They're different colors. If you click on the fairy, it takes you to the fae realm.
Nice.
And there's a little bit of background about the fae and the history and the folklore, and because a lot of the fables and the folklore that I write about are actually Scottish and Irish fables, and so it's mixed in a little bit with history, a little bit with paranormal, a little bit of romance and love, and that's just that fantasy, that romance. The romantasy is really where I enjoy reading, and so I've really enjoyed writing it.
Yeah, I asked who would read this. Is there some people who cannot read it? Is it okay for everyone?
I would say that it's for mature audiences.
Okay, nice.
Yes, it's written in high heat, and it's steamy. I would definitely call it steamy. But yeah, it's not for children. It's not for young teens. This is a 17 and older book.
I've heard that term high heat. I never really caught what that meant until this moment. So thank you, Margaret.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I encourage our viewers, go to the website. Margaret, is it Izard? I already forgot.
Izard.
Izard.
Okay.
Margaret
There's a pirate in the middle of it. Izard.
Oh,
so that helps you remember it.
Help.
So it's It's Margaret Izard. That's MargaretIzard, author.com.
Now our viewers see it says social media. All your social media is the same? Izard?
MIZARD author. That's right. My Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, my TikTok, my Threads, MIZARD author.
Yeah. This is exciting. I'm so inspired by your creativity, Margaret. I'm going to read. I'm going to start with the first one and see how far I can go. What else do you want our viewers to know?
A lot of people find it very interesting that I'm a mother of triplets. Wow. They're 26 years old. Mm-hmm. I have 2 boys and a girl. And I'm from Houston, Texas. I attended a performing and visual arts high school called an Arts Magnet High School. It's the high school for performing and visual arts here in Houston, Texas. I attended Texas Women's University. I've spent my entire life since I was 3.5 years old involved in performing arts and telling stories, whether it's through dance or through theater. It's just been an integral part of my life. I've wanted to write since I was young. I was convinced that I couldn't, that it was something I wasn't really good at, that maybe the non-speaking arts and storytelling would be something for me. And, when I finished tutoring, I tutored my kids all through school. And when I finished tutoring in college, we were coming out of the pandemic, and I said, I really want to do this. I really feel this is the time, and I really want to do this. And I sat down and wrote a book. And I took lots of classes and workshops and learned how to write. But I wrote a book, and I liked it. And so I wrote another, and I wrote another. And then I had to edit them.
It just unlocked your drive to. Now, you didn't mention this when you talked about your life and growing up and stuff, but you were a dancer and a dance teacher?
Yes, I started studying dance at 3.5 years old. Wow. I used to stand on my head until I passed out in the middle of the living room. Mm-hmm. I danced to my parents' record albums, vinyls when I was a kid. I danced most all my life. I still dance. I still dance on a regular basis. A little bit older, don't quite bend like I used to. Yeah. I used to be a gymnast too. But yeah, I've danced and studied performing arts all my life.
That's wonderful. Margaret, you're inspiring.
Thank you.
If we get you back on again, I want to spend more time talking about all these books you wrote and the process and stuff like that. And let me just ask, are you real organized? Are you real strict on when you write?
I write during the day. But I have my best ideas between 2 and 4 a.m. when I can't sleep. Mm. So I take little notes. I get my cell phone out and I take little notes. But I write during the day. I'm extraordinarily disciplined. I think the triplets taught me that. Dancing taught me that. The performing arts taught me that. but I'm very organized. I am a plotter, definitely what writers call a plotter. I do have what I call a muse, and my muse has a tendency, that's my creative voice inside my head. And sometimes she has a tendency, she takes over my stories and we go some really great places. And sometimes I can't always use them at that moment. But I do come back to them. For an example, I'm in book 6 now. I actually have come right back circled to a deleted scene from book 1 and been able to include it in book 6 in the series. And that was really a lot of fun. So it's been an incredible journey and something that I've waited a long time to do. And apparently, I'm like I said, I'm on the 6th book. Yeah. I have another series that ties into this one that's also 7 books. I've already written 3 of those books. I apparently have a lot to say.
Yeah. By the way, I always say this: anyone could write a book. Few people can finish writing a book and put the pencil down and get them published. And you've done it over and over and over. So I hope you're an inspiration for a lot of our viewers who are trying to get through the first one.
I hope so. My advice, there's 3 things to do when writing. First off, you read. You constantly read, you constantly learn, you constantly research, and that always inspires ideas. The second thing you do is you write. It's a practiced art. Storytelling is a practiced art. Writing is a practiced art. You have to practice this, just like dance. And the last thing is, don't do it alone. Don't ever do this alone. Find a group. Find a group of people to do this with. Find someone to read your stuff and tell you how it is and what works and what doesn't work. Find a critique group. Find a writing group. Find people to do this with. Don't do it alone, because doing it alone is hard. Doing it with people and having people help you along the way, that's what gets you to the end.
Wow. I've not heard that advice on this show, and that's great. I've heard people getting writers groups and being involved, but you're saying don't do it alone. That's great advice, Margaret.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope we have you back again and again. And
I would enjoy that. I'd like that a lot. I have a lot of books.
Good. There are a lot coming out every time one comes out. All right. For our viewers, don't go anywhere. We have another author coming up right after this. We'll be back with more Briggs on Books right after this.